Look, obviously it's a very unfortunate situation. If you ask my opinion, it's a very unfortunate situation. I think we could have developed more effective mechanisms of engagement and ensure that we find more amicable solutions to the issues. Putting that aside, I think we should be proud. I think, I mean, I would argue that I know people saying said that, I mean, we should be proud that it's engagement, continuous engagement, and how with all issues affecting us. It also opens up another debate about choices that we must make as a country. From a fiscal position, it also begins to raise questions about, do we fund A or B? Do we find project A or C? Where should the focus be and why? And it's not a debate that could be resolved by protest. But I think we do need to take this whole thing beyond just protest into a more decent and deeper and more incisive debate about choices that we need to make as a country. It's a useful debate to have. I think that the couple of points I mean to make there. I think the first is that we still acknowledge them as a very critical element of our delivery system. They are important for growth enhancing activities in the country, and that's important. It's a point that sometimes we lose. And the second point, I think, is that it's clear that we need to enhance their efficiencies, because I think the time where we could have huge budgets and inefficient systems, etc., is gone. So we have to really put our focus on them. The third point is what the minister probably articulated very well, is actually the need to balance the developmental objectives of these entities and their viability, and some the commercial element of them. For some of them, we need to push towards a level where they can self-fund, as a result of how commercially driven they are. At the same time, not lose sight of the developmental objective. That's where the conversation is going, and the issues of governance are equally critical, and that's why I think we are looking at the legislation to strengthen governance and to ensure that the government can intervene whenever it is necessary.
Will South Africa be downgraded anytime soon?
Look, I mean, all in look, I've seen this. I mean, and many people are saying that. I think it's very clear. I mean, through conversations that we've had, I mean, there is the threat of downgrading is very low at the moment. I think, and secondly, that the framework that we presented today, the fiscal framework that we presented today, is probably consistent with what is being said all over the world. I mean, if you go all over the world, everybody's grappling with this thing. A couple of weeks ago, we're in the World Bank IMF negotiations and discussions. The central focus of everybody is, how do we sustain and maintain fiscal sustainability in a very terrible global economic environment and domestic environment in many countries. Secondly, how do we ensure that we effect reforms that enhance the level of performance of our economies? Everybody's grappling with these issues. Fiscal policy ultimately is fiscal policy, but you're not going to solve it through fiscal policy. We do need other measures across the board. In South Africa, electricity supply must be made more consistent. We must actually ensure that we broaden our capacity in that regard. We must ensure that there is greater coordination in government around policy, and policies talk to each other. We must ensure that state institutions are functioning very well so that they have impact on development. We must enhance training and skills development, aligning it with the economy. So broadly speaking, is what people use the term economic reform, but I think it's more dealing with the binding constraints of our economy, and that's what we must do.